Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well. Before we continue with the active anti-cheat tutorial playlist, I want to talk about something important. Exploiters can do things that developers simply can't, and it's important to understand just how powerful they really are. This information will help understand how exploiters work, so I highly recommend watching this video. Let's start! I will divide this video into three sections, mostly dealing with start exploit developers, mid-exploit developers, and advanced exploit developers. Now, I'll try to explain everything as best as possible, and if you want to skip some sections, feel free to do that. Let's start with beginner exploit developers. These are people who have just entered the scene and don't yet have much experience. Most of them understand what an executor is and typically rely on free ones. When they try to create scripts, they usually begin by exploring the game's structure using common client-side tools. They often scroll through services and instances with only a basic understanding of how Roblox Studio works, though they may have a rough idea of what each service does. A typical pattern is that they place a local script in areas they can access on their own client and fill it with whatever changes they want to see, such as character or UI modifications. Of course, most of these beginners aren't writing code themselves. They tend to rely heavily on AI tools and often justify it with phrases like, for educational purposes. Their scripts are usually very simple and, oh lord, from my experience, they often cause major performance issues and client lag. Their scripts usually aren't anything special. Most are extremely easy to detect and often fail before they even run, throwing errors right away. After watching a few tutorials, some beginners also learn about certain functions and try to use them in their messy scripts even if they don't really understand how they work. In most cases, these starter exploit developers are just very young users experimenting without any real knowledge of what they're doing. Now let's move into the mid to advanced level of exploit developers. These individuals are responsible for a large portion of the scripts circulating online, easily over half of what you'll find. Unlike beginners, they typically have a solid understanding of what they're doing. Many of them are former Roblox developers, hobby programmers, or people who've spent a long time studying how games work on the client side. They rely heavily on AI-generated tools, open-source utilities, and client-side analysis programs to inspect how a game is structured. Before they even write a script, they spend a lot of time testing what they can manipulate on their own client, and they often look for weak points in how a game communicates with the server. Some will look for poorly protected remote events or weak client checks. If the game has a client-side anti-cheat, they usually try to disable or bypass it, which is one of the many reasons client-side anti-cheat is never enough on its own. Many mid-level exploiters use paid executors or paid tools, but a surprisingly large number still rely on free ones. They typically label their scripts as undetected, even though that usually just means they haven't been caught yet. Their code quality varies a lot. Many scripts are messy or reused from others, but they often work just well enough to cause problems for games with weak server security. These scripts are usually distributed on platforms like Discord servers, script-sharing websites, or semi-public communities. A huge percentage, easily around 90%, are offered for free but require users to go through a key system. These key systems generate a small amount of income for the script creator through ads or tracking links, which is why so many exploiters push them so aggressively. Detecting mid-level exploit developers is often just as easy as detecting beginners. It largely depends on what they're trying to do. Even though they use more advanced client-side tricks to manipulate their character or interface, most of what they do is still visible and detectable from the server when proper server-side checks are in place. However, problems arise when a game relies too heavily on the client. If a remote event is poorly protected, mid-level exploiters can abuse it to gain unfair advantages or trigger actions the server should never allow. This is why secure server-side validation is absolutely essential. Around half of mid-level exploiters also attempt to check whether a game has a backdoor, a hidden vulnerability, or malicious script left behind by someone with access. I'll cover this in a dedicated video soon because backdoors are one of the biggest security threats a Roblox game can face. If an exploiter discovers one, they can gain unauthorized access to powerful server controls, which could allow them to disrupt or even damage your entire game in a matter of minutes. Now we get to my favorite category, advanced exploit developers. There aren't many of them, but they should never be underestimated. I used to be in this group myself, something I'm definitely not proud of. And I can tell you from experience that these people fully understand what they're doing. Advanced exploit developers rely almost entirely on self-made tools, custom utilities, and highly specialized workflows. Nearly all of them use paid software or build their own private tools from scratch. They're often the creators behind popular exploit scripts, large multi-game universal scripts, or sophisticated client-side utilities. With their level of experience, they can analyze a game extremely quickly. Their tools allow them to review a game's client-side structure, understand patterns, and identify weaknesses far faster than beginners or mid-level exploiters. And no, I'm not naming the actual tools. The last thing I want is someone getting any dumb ideas. Haha. Detecting advanced exploiters is possible, but definitely not easy. They tend to hide their activity well, avoid obvious actions, and use techniques that blend in with normal gameplay. About 90% of them create or inject their UI directly into CoreGuy for their script panels, and their scripts are almost always locked behind a key system or paid access. This is how they keep their work exclusive and prevent others from modifying or redistributing it. These advanced individuals are also the ones who often discover structural weaknesses that less experienced exploiters wouldn't even notice. They understand server-client trust issues, timing weaknesses, replication behavior, and how to take advantage of games that rely too heavily on the client. So, that's it for the exploit sections, I guess. Now let's get to the question you probably came here to find out. Are exploiters actually getting too powerful? Honestly, there's no clear answer. Even though I didn't believe it at first, Roblox has actually started fighting back. They've added anti-cheat systems like Bifron to the platform. If we look at it from that perspective, exploiters aren't getting stronger. They're actually getting weaker with every new anti-cheat. But that's not the whole story. Even though exploiters struggle and advanced exploit developers have to work harder, they often find ways to bypass Roblox's security within days. Bifron was a perfect example. When it was first added, everyone thought exploiters would be gone for a while. But no, many of them just switched to emulators like BlueStacks or Mumu Player, and suddenly Bifron didn't even matter anymore. Roblox has more tricks up its sleeve, though. Their upcoming server authority feature is going to give servers a lot more control, which could make a big difference. But let's be real. Exploiters will likely find a way around it eventually. Only time will tell how effective it really is. At the end of the day, you shouldn't get involved in exploiting at all, even if you think you know what you're doing. If you've ever tried following exploit tutorials, you may have noticed that many of them tell you to disable your PC's antivirus or security tools. There's a reason for that. It's not a false detection. In all cases, it's the exact opposite. 97% of these executors are packed with viruses, malware, and other harmful programs that can easily damage your computer or compromise your personal information. Like, why exploiting? Just get some skills, man. Thank you guys so much for watching this tutorial. I hope you people learned more with this video. Stay safe out there and always listen to your parents. Love y'all!